Hello and welcome to a Cross the Park podcast, back on location, Pricey, in the old Blue House, the Hot Walk. Cheers, man.
Happy days.
So, myself, Ian Mills and Andrew Price. If anyone doesn't know the history of the Hot Walk, it used to be the Blue House. This place must have seen sometimes, wasn't it?
I remember coming here after the match with my dad and falling asleep on the couches. There used to be a pool table at the front there.
Yeah.
There was all couches next to the pool table. I remember falling asleep there many a match day after the game. And my dad had a few pints. Brilliant. Yeah, those were the days then.
Well, look, there's not long left at Goodison, maybe 18 months, so places like this, the part of the club's history. So a massive thank you to the Hot Walk for allowing us to record in here, and we're going to plug a massive night coming up on the Saturday, December 3rd. Everton legend Pricey Alan Stubbs is down here. It's a tenner a ticket. For a fiver, there's a bit of scram. For another fiver, a professional photo with Alan Stubbs. We're coming down, aren't we? Exciting.
Yeah, it would be, yeah. Looking forward to it. Good scouts lad, Alan Stubbs, so it'll be a good night.
Looking forward to getting down here. Saturday the 3rd of December. Tickets behind the bar in the Hot Walk. And we've got to thank as well our sponsors. First Globe Gas and Plumbing. Get over to globecentralheating.com. Unbelievable lad. He's a big Evertonian, local lad in the city, and his business is brilliant. He's doing, Judgy said last week, you know, the underfloor heating. There's lots of plumbing jobs that need doing across the city. If you're an Evertonian and you quote Across the Park podcast, he'll give you 10% off all bathroom quotes. Fair Clothing. Pricey, we're looking alright tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, it's the first time, isn't it? Yeah, it looks alright, doesn't it?
So this is the range. If you want to look like Pricey, probably more so than myself, but this is all Fair Clothing. If you do go on the website fairclothing.com and you quote ATP or Across the Park, so it's ATP20 at checkout is the code. Voila, 20% off some really nice menswear. Probably the best menswear in the city. I know lads in our work in the city centre who are rocking it, and all the young lads, the hip lads, not like me and Pricey, even the hip lads are rocking it. Pricey, we never really mentioned that we're members of Alfie Squad. We don't do that enough justice, but we are members of Alfie Squad. Now, Alfie Squad is an amazing charity. If you go on Twitter and at Alfie Squad, they'll tell you all about it. They're around $3,500 off there, 25k goal, but we're proud to be members of that squad, aren't we?
What are they raising it for again?
It's for children bereaved by suicide. The story is over on their Twitter. It's all about it. It's an amazing charity. It's quite close to our hearts for no other reason than it's just a really emotional story, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Nice young lad. Obviously, you know, the story is that he lost his father to suicide, unfortunately. We've done a charity event for him before. Michael Ball, we had done a bit of a quiz and a get together for that. We raised quite a few bob on that. Just a nice from that lad. His mum's a lovely woman, and just
rockstar, absolute rockstar.
Raise some money for the cause, like, so. Yeah, if you can join Alfie Squad.
Get over there. They're about $3,500 short of their target. They are officially part of Everton in the community as well. Let's talk football. Fulham away. It's sort of, I know me and you sort of run our socials a bit together, so you probably do agree here that it's maybe a split opinion. Some fans think Everton should be putting Fulham to the sword, maybe because of who it is, maybe because it's Fulham, and maybe the perception is we're Everton. I was quite pleased with the results. I thought Fulham were in form, above us in the table, above some other certain big clubs, one across the park, playing well, with the first team to shut them out. The bigger picture for me is a points, not a bad result. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Coming out of the game, I would have said the points not a bad result, because I think there was times when they could have scored and we had to ride our luck a little bit. I wouldn't have took a draw before the game started.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have. I think Fulham are a newly promoted team, as you say. They've got a bit of confidence going, but I'd like to think we're better than Fulham and we should be beating Fulham. I understand what you mean, you know, going away especially. And as you say, they usually score. Mitrovic up front, a good player, and they usually do get a goal or two. So that was a positive, but yeah, I was disappointed, I'll be honest. I thought we started the game well. I thought first 10, 15 minutes, I was thinking, it's our game, we've got them. I think we got round the back a couple of times early on. I thought, you know, it could be our game this, but by the end of the game, I think especially the few chances that they had, Pickford made a couple of good saves. I was coming away thinking, you know, few we got a point in the end. Yeah. I wouldn't have wanted a point to start with, though. I think if we need to push on, Fulham's, I would like to think we'd be beating Fulham.
No, and I get that. and I get the perception of like a newly promoted team, where the established Premier League club. I personally think that we've got to look how far we came. We've used this word before, Pricey, into staring into the abyss last season, and for me, it was the bigger picture. But just to touch upon the actual game itself, you said there that we started really well. I agree. the commentator said that this is not going to be 0-0.
Yeah.
It ended 0-0. I thought Fulham came into it. I thought second half, like he said there, I thought we were quite lucky to hold on. The goalkeeper was brilliant. But the first 10, 15 minutes, Everton played really well. Quite refreshing to see. No shots on target against Spurs and Newcastle. Then to have 2 or 3 straight away.
Yeah, and it was like I thought our tactics at the start would be to get in behind them because there was a through ball to Calvert-Lewin. I think there was somebody else on the right who went through. You know, Gray a couple of chances where he was trying to get in behind. So I thought that was it. We were attacking and we were going to look like we were going to really take it to them. But once they settled into the game, and I don't know whether it was them settling into it or us not continuing to push on, just opened it up for them slightly, and then came the frustration, and then came the sort of, we looked a bit toothless after that. Like there was no real creativity going up front. Once we had that early push, we couldn't really get back into it. I didn't think attacking wise. We didn't try and get round the edges again or try and get in behind again, which was quite disappointing. But yeah, the chances we had, I mean, the great cross for Calvert-Lewin one was we were saying that Gray had one earlier on the same side, and he turned in, and I thought he should have crossed it, and he kept going. And I said, that's what Gray doesn't do. He doesn't just beat his man and cross it. Then he got it next time, he got it, or a couple of times later, he got it. Perfect cross, and Calvert-Lewin was just unlucky and took it off Gordon. If that had gone in, I think we would have then got the momentum, we'd have carried on going. But I do think because they rode their luck in the first 10 minutes, they got into the game, and then it was us who sort of sat back and we didn't look. For some reason, we just lost our confidence within the game going forward, I thought.
We've got loads of questions on social media about styles and how we how we win games with the squad of players, because it is a versatile squad now, probably for the first time since Carlo was here. But for me, you mentioned John Calvert-Lewin there. We don't seem to be playing to his strength. I think the Crystal Palace game, we did. He was at it and we were hitting him. The Fulham game, I don't think. And look, someone could slate me here and put comments in and links to goals. I don't think he's ever been someone who ball to feet has put the ball in the box, and I don't think we played to his strength on Saturday.
He's not that type of player. Footed, ball at the feet, he can't do it. There was a couple of times when I think it was in the first half, he turned and he could run at the defenders, and he just looks like he can't do it.
Yeah, he lost it.
I'm a fan of Calvert-Lewin, but you're right. I think is the way we're going to get the best out of him is what Carlo done when he said just put him in the middle, get the crosses, the delivery. But on the flip side of that, we haven't got the players who can create and put them crosses in. I mean, I've just said about Gray's one cross, and you remember it because it's unusual. It's not like he's doing it all the time. And I think that's what we're lacking. We're lacking somebody to be able to give the service to Calvert-Lewin. You're not going to get the best out of him if you don't do that.
So is it as simple as we need new players to come in? Is it that simple?
I think we need wide forwards. I don't think Gray and Gordon, and I've said it before on this podcast, Gordon probably wouldn't start, in my opinion, for the last few games or last few weeks or whatever. I just don't think them two. And look, we brought in new signings in the summer we were happy about. The first thing was first, let's get the defensive back line, let's look more solid and a bit more in midfield, which we've done. Now in January, I'm hoping for January, we get a wide forward, somebody who can just create, because that's what them two are lacking. So I do think it's a change of personnel. I do. I think when we set up, we can play better to Calvert-Lewin and we can whip more crosses in and stuff, but we need the players to be able to do that for me.
Oh, I agree. I think you're missing... I wasn't his biggest fan, but you're probably still missing a certain number 10. I think you're probably still missing... You put half games on the season, but you're missing what he'd give you in those half games. And I think there's a couple of players there that we haven't yet replaced, and that's probably hindering Everton going forward. It's not as simple for me as get a new striker. Is that fair?
I don't think it's the striker, but the issue you've got is we've got no other. Well, we've got McNeil to come in, but really we haven't got any other wide players who can come in at the moment. So I think he's stuck with those two. When I say stuck, I think he does probably rate them, but he's got no other options really.
No, because Townsend's still out.
Townsend's still out. So you think, should we go? Can we go 4-4-2? Can we get James Garner in midfield and sort of work there? But if he comes in, you're taking a centre mid out. You're still not answering those wide areas. So that's the thing for me is number one, the players and the actual quality that we've got wide, and then number two is what type of formation. How can we adapt the formation during the game to try and work? Sorry, when other teams have worked us out, can we try and change it? Because we're a bit one-dimensional at the minute, I think
I had some more questions on Fulham, but I think our social media questions may take us back into where we're going. So we'll hold fire for now. The bigger picture, are you content with Everton's start to the season? We're looking at Leicester at home on Saturday, which we'll touch upon. I think it's a tough game. Then we're looking at a chance to go through in the cup, and then we play Bournemouth away. You know, touch wood, you get a good result there. I think Everton are more than capable of getting a good result there. Then we break for six weeks. If we break and we're through in the cup and we've got a couple of more good results, is that a really good start to the season for you?
I think it's an acceptable start. It's not a really good start. Would be, we're playing free-flowing football and we're top half of the league, whatever. That's a really good start, but it's an acceptable and a decent start.
Yeah.
Considering we stayed up with 2 games to go last season, you're not going to get us, top 6, top 7 straight away. It's going to take time. What I'm made up with, as I just touched on before, is we've got ourselves solid defensively. You can always build on, and you can always bring in attacking players, and not conceding goals is the first thing. And I think I'm pleased that we've gone that way this start of the season. So yeah, I think if you're Leicester and Bournemouth, I'd want at least 4 points there. I'd probably want 6, because I think Leicester at home is very winnable, and Bournemouth away I think is as well. So I'd want at least 4, maybe 6 points from there. And if we do, and then we go into the break, I'd be like, brilliant. We can get that wide player in January and push on then.
Yeah. Look, I just want to sleep. Said this on the podcast. Yeah. I just want to sleep. I weren't joking on this podcast last season when I said I was having sleepless nights. I think you admitted to waking up and the first thing you were looking at because he was injured. Who's next? Yeah. How do we get out of this? So let's just not go anywhere near that. Me and Judgy touched upon it last week that, look, if you go into this World Cup break and you're not looking over your shoulder, for me, that's more than acceptable.
And what I will say, sorry, just that we were so positive after the Palace game, we can't then switch it on its head and say,
yeah, that's fair.
Just because we haven't beat Fulham, it's the opposite. It's not. We're still the progress is going up.
We're going to get memes about us reacting to all these defeats and wins. We're going to be so positive and so negative at times, and documented all on across the park. Pricey, I was going to go to social media and people are looking at me on my phone here. I'm not being rude. I'm just trying to get some content up. There's a couple of comments from past members of the football club this week that have came out in the media. Sam Alladryce, who has his own podcast now, apparently. He had Big Duncan Ferguson on the podcast last week. So if anyone's interested in listening to the Duncan and Sam show, get over there. But he has been at times vocal on how unfairly he was dismissed. Mm-hmm. So for me, let's just revisit that because it's fresh in the media. So if anyone who's not heard the comments, I'll read them out. He said, Everton were particularly one where I came back and I tried to stay there. The plan was to build a team for the new stadium. And for the first time in my career, have the financial backing to do so. I was just about, he says, to put the club on the right path because it's lost its direction, especially in the recruitment area. And that's continued to do so since I've left. That's why it hasn't got the success that the money that has been spent deserved. Too many outside influences on Farhead made him change his mind. I thought I should never have left Everton. We finished 8th in my short period. Last year, they were so close to getting relegated, and they only managed to stay up by 3 other teams. Well, actually 4, Sam. 3 other teams being worse. They were pretty fortunate in the end. That reads to me that since he left Everton Football Club, he's got the pad and the brush and we're worse off. Is that fair? Is he in some ways right? Or is he just chatting absolute wow?
Well, I think that's that.
It's difficult, isn't it?
It's hard because when you look at the position that we were in when he took over, and the position that we ended up in, the positions we've been since he's left, then it hasn't until probably this summer.
Every season worse.
Well, it has until this summer. But it's more than just. I don't know, but is it more than just position sometimes? You know how we all feel now with Lampard there. Yeah. We know we all feel well better. The whole place wasn't. Yeah, it was a lot better than the negativity under Sam Alladryce. I mean, if Sam Alladryce didn't come to Everton knowing he was only there to keep us up, he's mad. Because of course that's all he was there for. He knew it. We all knew it. No one was expecting him to be there the season after he kept us up. So I don't know what he's going on about, thinking that he would say.
He's painting a picture there that he was about to improve it. Could you, if you take yourself back in time to 2018, do you think he could have improved Everton, or was it just he was there for one job?
No, I think he could have. I think he could have improved our results and our standard on the table. I don't think he could have improved the structure or the way we play, or the atmosphere in Goodison like it is today,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have got to that. We would have been, oh yeah, we're 7th again or we're 8th again. And I'm not saying like, obviously we've been worse, and I'm not saying that that's like a bad thing, but it would have been that. It would have been we wouldn't have been pushing on. We've had to sort of come back in order to go forward again, I think, and it sort of needed what it's had. It's not pretty at the time. You don't love it at the time, but I think it needed that. Otherwise, we would have just. I think under him, we would just stagnated at 8th, 9th around that point for 5-6 years if he'd have stayed that long. So I get what he's saying. He did. When you look at the results, you look at the league stands, and he did. He done what he was expected to do, but not a chance would have wanted to give him the checkbook.
I was very, as you probably know, appreciative of the job that he did. I was one of the Blues, and I know it's Marmite. At the time, I was welcoming him in, shaking hand, please save us. And I was at the position in 2018 where it was like, okay, you've saved us. I don't like the style.
Yeah.
I don't like what I see going forward. So I'm with you. I don't think he would have been the man to really progress Everton. But I also think when you read that in black and white, he's not wrong. It's just a weird one.
He's not wrong, but he done it. Newcastle fans, West Ham fans, they're all their club. West Ham especially as a club, he can say, look what I've done with West Ham.
Yeah.
I took them up and then I got them wherever they were in the Premier League. Look what I've done with them. But the West Ham fans couldn't get rid of him when he gone. Do you know what I mean? Because it's that thing. What you want from your footy team, yet you want them to get the results, but you want to see them play well. You want to see them score goals, and he weren't doing that. I don't think he ever would have done that.
Fair enough. And the second comment of someone who, and technically is not part of the club, but he reads between the lines here and says it's someone who was appointed in an advisory role in January, who was, the top to bottom, let's review the club. It was Tim Cahill, and he was out in the media this week, and his comments for anybody who's not heard them. Farhad Mashiri asked me to be part of the process in picking Frank, and that role at Everton is a work in progress for me, but I'm still a work in progress. My Everton connection will always be there. How that is going forward is down to the owners to talk about. Key football decisions need to have a vision, and the club needs an identity. You build your team around that. The owner has really improved with his approach since I've been talking with him. So reading between the lines, a big part of things, Tim Cahill, and I didn't expect.
He was on the interview panel, wasn't he, for the managers? I didn't think he was still involved, to be honest. I didn't think he was. I thought he was just literally that, an advisor. The chairman Mashiri needed a new manager. Went to a couple of old players, or went to Cahill, and I'm sure there was somebody else he asked as well, Graham Sharp as well. He's on the board now, obviously, and sort of got their opinion on it and their feeling on it. And you've got to say, I'm happy. I'm glad he did, because Cahill gets Everton. He's from Australia or whatever, but if anyone gets Everton, he's one of the people who get them.
Identity, you said there.
Exactly, and I do get the feeling, all the protests outside Goodison last winter, whenever it was, we did. I do think we've changed since then. I do think that the approach has changed. We've done an internal review or whatever, which sounds a bit stupid, to be honest, an internal review, but it seems to have worked because the strategy seems to be better. Where Cahill fit in now, I don't know, with Kevin Thirlwell, and I don't know where he'd be.
Is he job hunting there for you, or is he just playing to the question he was asked, maybe?
Probably he's asked. I mean, he speaks well. He always speaks well, Tim Cahill, not just about Everton, but about footy in general. And I think he always says he wants to be involved in a club. How far does it go that just because he's an ex-player, he's going to be good at that job? He could be, or he could not be. I don't know. But nice that he's involved. Nice that Mashiri's listening to him. But it sounds like he's doing an apprenticeship to get a job, doesn't it? There.
But Cahill has always been, even as a player, he's always played the media well. He was the Australia darling, and then he got a Millwall tattoo and an Everton tattoo. He's playing both ends of the country. Australia love me, goes to America. This is my new home. He goes to China. This is my new home. He's always been really good at that. I don't know. I know he's not coached, and I know he's not done much of that. But those comments to me are sort of. If it goes wrong again, I'm here. Get me back in, and there's a little bit of that. But again, he was on the committee or the panel who done that internal review, and in turn that seems to have made the owner stop bringing certain agents in and trying to move things around, and there's a this job's for the boys kind of thing. We've seen a lot of them leave, including Big Duncan. We've done a show on that. David Unsworth, John Ebrell. They've been maybe not pushed, but they've been allowed to go to different clubs, and we're bringing different people in. So look, who knows? Maybe Tim Cahill was a massive part of that. Maybe I'm wrong in being proper Everton and seeing it for the bad and not the good.
Yeah, I don't see it for good or bad. He was involved, and we have picked a manager that we're all happy. He did help pick a manager we're all happy with. Let's leave it at that. He's helped, and he sounds like he's taken probably maybe more responsibility than what he maybe should have. I don't know.
Fair enough.
I still love him.
I love him as well. Look, on the socials, we are at Across the Park PC, Instagram and Twitter. The website is acrosstheparkpodcast.co.uk. We do invite questions. We put a tweet out today and an Instagram story out today asking for some questions. So I've just picked a few places, so we'll do a bit of a Q&A and bounce off you. So first of all, the one I've picked is Carl on Instagram. Now he says for him, it's obvious that we do need some attacking players, but over the next year or two, should we also be looking at quality backup? He said they just aren't there at the minute, other than the goalkeeper Begovic and maybe James Garner.
Yeah, definitely do. It's about getting rid of the deadwood and bringing in, as you said there, a squad of players who can all fit into the team when they're needed. That takes time. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, he said a year or two. Yeah,
but yeah, we definitely do. But we have got rid of loads. Your Tosins, I'm going to say Walcott, then he went a bit earlier, but there's loads we've got. Yeah, there's loads we've gone. So we definitely do. And the quality of the players we've brought in are better backup than the ones that we had previously.
Yeah.
But you've still got players there who probably you wouldn't want in your squad in the future. And there's probably a couple of first team players who get a game every week who you wouldn't want in your first team if you could help it.
Yeah, that's fair. Darren O'Day on Twitter, he asked Pricey, with Patterson coming back and Dominic Calvert-Lewin now back in the first team, do you think that the manager will and or should stick to a set 1 to 11 opposed to some rotation which we've seen already this season?
No, I think you need to rotate. I think if you don't rotate, I think you become predictable. Not only in formation but in personnel as well. I was saying before, I'd love to see James Garner in the team. I mean, I think our midfield three have been decent. Garner has got some stick and whatever else about a couple of his performances haven't quite been up to scratch. But
it's the wingers, isn't it? He rotates the wingers a lot because he's trying to find.
Yeah, but I'd like to see if he can try and get James Garner in the team and just change the formation slightly. Now he hasn't stuck rigidly to 4-3-3, but he's always, because I think he went 4-2-3-1 at the weekend with the Wolby slightly forward. But I would like to see, I mean, just mix it up every now and again. I'd like to say, because it does feel like we're getting a bit predictable. Maybe not in the formation, but definitely in the style of play that we're using with the two wide. And as you said, we've said before, I don't think they're quite up to scratch or whatever yet. But I would like to see James Garner in the team if that's to bring another midfielder out. Onana out for the game or Garner out for the game, so be it. But I would like to see him involved and just see what he's got. So
turn up on the weekend and maybe not knowing the team.
Yeah. No, I have always keeper and back four should stay the same as long as they can. I think that they should always, if you've got a solid back four and a solid keeper, keep them the same. And then everyone else, I think, can play on merit.
Fair enough. Liam on Twitter, he's asking again similar theme to Darren. He's asking, is it now time to see McNeil play an extended run of games alongside Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Dropping either Gray or Gordon will do them no harm. It's actually time to drop one of them. Does McNeil deserve a run now? Like Gray's getting, like Gordon's getting? Now Lewin's there, does McNeil deserve that 3 or 4 game run?
I don't know if he deserves it. Without being, I think he's done anything to go, you've got to put him in the team. But the team probably needs it. They probably needs a bit of a freshen up.
Lewin might need that.
Yeah. Well, you hope that McNeil's going to be, because he's brought in on the basis, I believe, that he's good set pieces or he's good at crossing the ball. I haven't particularly seen that yet. If he is and that's what he's been brought in for, then you've got to play him, haven't you? Because what would you bring him in for if he's not in the team to get deliveries into Calvert-Lewin?
Fair enough. The last question.
What do you think?
I make a rod for my own back, and I'll be completely honest. I'm not overly excited by McNeil and Morpay. I'm just not. But at the same time, I'm also watching Damari Gray and Anthony Gordon at the moment, and we've mentioned there Damari Gray put a really good cross in, and maybe we're talking about that being a match-winning situation, and it's fine lines, isn't it? And Anthony Gordon scored what? He scored 2 in 2 at the start of the season when Chelsea caught him. We were saying, or some fans were saying, keep him. This could be a really good season, and that's tails off. So I wouldn't be adverse to bringing one of those out And I do think if you decide to bring one of those out, I do think then you have to say to McNeil, we're going to give you 2 or 3. I don't think you can say, if you're crap, you're off for an hour and then Gray's back in, and then if Gray's off for an hour next game. I think you do need to say, there's going to be a system and we'll give it 2 or 3 games, for me personally. But I'm not overly excited by McNeil either, and some fans may comment and you know, criticise me for that, but I'm just not, and part of that is, you know, his previous numbers and stuff. I was never excited by him.
And you can't win either way, but I think when McNeil did score against Southampton and then Gordon comes straight back in the team, I don't know, just tell Anthony Gordon that he was the man, and I don't think that's worked at the minute. I'd get him up, not against him. I think when he's playing well, he's brilliant, but I just think he needs bringing out the team and just maybe even just bring him down and saying, look, you're not always going to start. I
do think possibly, just to maybe continue that question, I think in his head, and maybe because of things that the club have done, where they paraded this number 10 shirt, and they very, very visibly put a really high price tag on him, and he very, very visibly and audibly said he was one of our best players, as his ego maybe got a little bit.
I think so, yeah. I think so. I do think so. I think you see a different type of player on the pitch now, not just in the way he plays the ball, but his body language, I think, is different.
In his head, he's the man now.
I think so, yeah.
I get a little bit of that, yeah.
I think he thinks that he's undroppable because he's come straight back in the team whenever he's missed a game, or when he missed the game with illness or whatever it was, or got a couple of yellow cards, didn't he, and missed the game? He was straight back in there. That's telling him something, that. And I'm not really into it.
And publicly, the manager loves him, which is out there as well. Last question.
If he was producing on the pitch, if he's creating goals and assisting and scoring, then big him up all you want, but he's not.
And he scored 2 and 2. Brentford and Leeds away, he scored 2 and 2 at the start of the season, and that was like, it's either going to put 20 million on him, or we're keeping a very good player, and neither
seems to transpire.
Neither happens. We've got a nice question here. The final question from Cahill on Twitter. He or she, I'm sorry, you've not revealed your gender. Your profile picture was an Everton picture. Irish Blue, really impressed with the Everton YouTube videos that they put out of Bramley Moor going up. The videos of the stadium. Carol's question for us is, do you share his views that it's really impressive, the videos, and have we seen it in real life? Before you come in, I drive past it 2 or 3 times a week going to the office. I live in North Liverpool. In order to get to where I work on South Liverpool, I've got to go past it. Oh, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. I've took my little boy there, got a photo of him outside of it with the construction, as sad as that sounds. I just wanted that photo. I'll do the same with my little girl when she can safely stand roadside. But I took a moment there the other week where I stood and just looked at it. And it was like, I went to New York in the 2000s and stood at Ground Zero, and it's a mad comparison, but it was just like seeing this, like, wow, what are they building here? And I got that. It's just gonna be just massive. That's my interpretation of seeing it so far. So, did you see the videos? Were you impressed? Have you seen it in real life?
Seen the videos, yeah. It's not half shot up, you know, from the last videos they put out. I've been down and drove past it and had a little look. I've been driving past. I haven't been to take no photos on it. I probably will, to be honest. Yeah. But it just looks impressive. I mean, if it's anything like the artist impression, which I'm sure it will be, it's looking like that at the moment. Yeah. It's just going to be like proper wow factor. I mean, I said on the WhatsApp group the other day, I'm still expecting it to be dead, like by the bombed out church.
Sinkhole just starts happening. Proper Everton.
It's, you know, when the money runs out. But, you know, without being negative, I can't wait for it to go up. And, you know, I'll miss Goodison, as I'm sure you will.
I was just going to say, what's it going to be like? The flip side of it is like, we're driving to Bramley Moor, and there's a bulldozer at the back of us. We're in the hot walk, the old blue house. The old ladies behind us. That's the flip side, isn't it? It's all well and good, this excitement, and I've got it. You've got it. My God, that's gonna hurt.
It is, and the memories you've got at Goodison and everything. You know, we're talking about becoming here with my half-father after a game at Goodison. But I just hope they regenerate. I mean, you know, the area Walton, I'm from Walton, you're from Walton, good people of Walton. I just hope that they regenerate it, and in the area is a decent area after the Goodison's gone, and they don't lose something, all the local businesses and the pubs and everything like that. I just hope there's something else for them to cling hold of, because they deserve it. So that's the thing for me. As long as it's regenerated properly and it's, you know, it's worthy of the people who live around here, then, you know, I can handle it. But the memories we've had in there are something else, aren't they?
I think there's plans to maybe do stuff. I think Everton have released like architectural pictures of maybe making a community site and a base. The blue base is there, the free school, the first club to do a free school for kids who need it. And Everton do that right. So Everton might not do that on the pitch right sometimes. We certainly do off the pitch right, which was covered a lot on this show tonight. But just to end it on Callow's question, first game at Bramley Moor, when we're taking our young kids, are we behind the goal in that big stand?
Yeah, you have to, don't you? I want to be right where we're in the park end now, but I want to be right where it's happening to me.
Yeah.
I want to get a season ticket right in the middle of it, especially to take my daughter and my lads down and show them it.
Because we were glad to take lads as kids, weren't we? We wanted that, like, yeah, that's it. Yeah. We wanted that, like, every song. And
that's part of the experience. It's part of what gets you involved. It's part of what, gets you the love for it, is being there and seeing it happen. I mean, if you sat in the top, maybe people did sit in the top balcony from when you were a kid, but get the feeling, being in the Gladys Street, or at least soaking up the atmosphere, is part of it. And even around the ground before the game, the pubs with your our fellas or whatever going and getting that atmosphere, and I just hope we can recreate that in the new stadium.
And just to go a bit deeper into Callow's question, Callow, I'm really sorry, you might not want me to go deep into this, but you know me by now if you're a long-time listener or a viewer. I think that stadium has to be the catalyst for the next part of who we are, because we've stagnated. And I don't want to get into why we've stagnated. There's so many views and there's been so many protests into what has happened since the last trophy. Between that trophy, there was an 8-year gap or whatever it was, and it's been a long period now. I think if this stadium goes up on the docks, it's got to be the catalyst, hasn't it?
It's got, yeah. I mean, that was always going to be, wasn't it? We're always like, even now we're saying when we get to the new stadium, we need to build a team for when we're at the new stadium. That's going to be at the stadium, and then what? I hope it's not like Christmas Day and you're like anti-climax, nothing going on. It's got to be something. But I think it's a bit of the monkey off the back moving out to Goodison as well. You've got to look at it like that. I know we've had success in the 80s, predominantly at Goodison. But it's a bit like, shed your skin now and start afresh and start something else. And it won't happen overnight when we're there. Look at someone like Arsenal, they struggled when they first went there, but they finally, after however many years they've been there, they've got something going and the stadium's part of it. And that's what we need to look forward to.
Yeah, look, if that stadium can't attract the investment or everything that goes along with the investment we need, that me and you are taking our kids to Champions League nights at that stadium, then I'd rather stay here. So it's got to be in that way. And I don't mean that in a bad way or a good way. I just think if that stadium isn't going to be some sort of catalyst, it's got to be for me. It's got to be.
It's a European stadium, isn't it? When you look at the designs and even you look at it now, it's a European football stadium. It's red. It's waiting. It's oven ready. To quote Boris. Yeah. It's oven ready, and I don't like quoting Boris, by the way. So you said then, quoting Boris.
Yeah, I don't like quoting Boris, by the way. Yeah. We'll move away from that, but the social media questions. Thank you so much for the social media questions. We are at Across the Park PC on both Twitter and Instagram. Please don't search Across the Park Podcast on Facebook. A long story short, Phil, one of the old Reds on the show, he created it. He's took it back. If there's anyone's DMs that you don't want to slide into, Phil Roberts. Don't do it. Bonfire night, Pricey, 5:30 on a Saturday. The last game at Goodison for 7 weeks. Leicester at home. You up for that?
I'm bang up for it, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. And I fancy, as I've said most home games this season. In the Man United game, I was big on us winning. I just something about Goodison, which I haven't had for a couple of years, but I'm expecting us to expect might not be the word, but I'm expecting us to at least put a performance in and get a result. Can't beat the lights of Goodison Saturday night. Everyone's been on the bevies. It's going to be. It's going to be a good atmosphere.
I mean, you on the bevies on Saturday, by the way?
If she lets you.
If she lets me, yeah.
No, I expect us to go for Leicester. The team haven't had the best season so far, and I think we can get at them like we did against Fulham. First 10-15 minutes, really put it to them, and not back off this time. Really go for it with the crowd behind us. I think it's fancy us to win.
I don't want to talk too much about Leicester for the simple reason is we're, touch wood, going to do a show with a Leicester fan site on Thursday, similar to how you've done a show with the Newcastle fan before the Newcastle game. So keep your eye out for that on the YouTube and the audio channels that we're hopefully doing a bigger preview for Leicester, where Leicester Fan TV will come on and maybe talk about how they view Everton, how they approach the game. But for me, Pricey, Leicester, without going too deep, he seems to have turned a corner a little bit. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park.
No, it's not. They're looking better. I mean, Maddison's back on form. I think he's looking like a better player. I think a lot of their play goes through Maddison. So for me, if you can keep him quiet, get Garner Gay on him or whatever, and just try and nullify the service into him, I think you've got a fighting chance in it. And if we get at them, we shouldn't be scared of Leicester.
No.
We shouldn't be holding back and sitting back against Leicester. We should be taking it to them. But I do think if you can keep him quiet, you've got Vardy, getting a bit older. I don't think they've got it, tell me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure they've got him the
Ian Acho, and then the goalkeeper Danny Ward's not having the best of seasons, which means he's going to be man of the match on Saturday.
Ex-Red as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so proper Everton. But look, I just think you've touched upon it there, that it's 5:30. There's going to be people who are going out in the daytime. There's going to be people who are aware that they're not going to come back to Goodison for maybe another 7 weeks, and that plays a factor for me. Like we're talking here about, we're going to miss this place where it goes. I'll miss this place for 7 weeks. I lost it for 18 months because of the world that happened in 2020. I don't like not coming to the game. I don't like not seeing news and having a pint and watching Everton. So I think it'll be a bear pit.
Mm-hmm. I hope so.
I think it will. I really do think that. I think Everton attacked the Park End in the first half, and me and you are Park Enders, because we're in our 30s, that automatically makes us move from the street ends to the Park End. I think if you attack the Park End and you get a goal, I think if you come out second half, you go to the street end and you get a goal. My prediction is Everton 2, Leicester 0. What about you?
Fancy us to win. I'd go 2-1. 2-1. I think it will be a close game because they are on the up a little bit, Leicester. But I think should have too much for them.
Danny Ward's up from the corner, make it 2-1 at the end.
Take that as long as it's 2-1. I'll give them that one.
Proper Everton, isn't it? Look, we've come to a natural end to the podcast. A massive, massive thank you to the Hot Walk for letting us in here tonight. It's not open. They've opened the doors for us. There's hopefully a bit of room for us to do a bit more with the Hot Walk. We're definitely 100% down here on Saturday, the 3rd of December, for someone who I thought was a top player, and probably a lot of these players don't go down as legend because they don't win things, and that's more on the club than the players. But Alan Stubbs was a top captain, top player, an Evertonian. Back here on the 3rd, there's tickets behind the bar for a tenner. Throw a fiver at it, we'll give you some food, another fiver for a photo. Are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm sure he's got a couple of stories as well from when we were, 13, 14, Alan Stubbs was there. So it'll be good to listen to them stories. Looking forward to it.
I'm going to ask him. It sounds weird. Remember when Moyes went?
Yeah.
And he sort of interviewed for the Everton job with David Wee. I want to know all about it. Yeah. So come down. If you see me or Pricey, come over. We'll buy you a bottle of Peroni. We'll have a chat. If you do see me or Pricey or Judgy anytime down at the grounds, we have some really nice feedback. We have some really nice people that come over to us and say hello. We do the instant match reaction. We had a guest on the instant match reaction the other week, Patrick from America. Unbelievable how far this show does travel. I think for us, there's a lot of great Everton content out there, but I think it's important the fact that we're coming into these settings now where we're having a pint. That's important. It's important that we maybe do some additional shows for Pricey. It's all about for us, isn't it? Just bringing banter and debate.
That's it. I think it works better when we're having a bevy and we're having a pint and we're discussing it. Better than Zoom, isn't it?
It's better than Zoom. And look, I was an advocate of the Zoom podcast. I was very happy in my loft for a long time. Pricey and Judgy have dragged me back out. But massive thanks to everybody who's watching. If you are listening on the audio channels, we appreciate you so much. You've been with us from the very start. Head over to YouTube. We're doing a YouTube channel now, as you probably guessed. If you are a Red listening in and you're waiting for the Reds to come into it, really, really sorry. It's an Everton show only. So I'd probably turn off and maybe send this link to your Evertonian friends. If you're an Evertonian WhatsApp group, Blues, please share this, because we are planning to do a little bit more going forwards. But for me, Ian Mills, for Andrew Price, thank you so much for joining us again. Up the Toffees.